Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. For almost a century, Farm Bureau has been a friend of the farm for all Virginians. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Virginia farmers depend on exports to boost their bottom line. Chef Tammy Brawley has a breakfast treat for the holidays. And we visit Surry County for our regular county agricultural close-up feature.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Hampton Roads Winery in Surry County. Many Virginia farmers rely on exports to support their crop prices. Norm Hyde explains why this is true, even if they don't sell directly to foreign buyers.
The 15th Annual Virginia Agricultural Trade Conference highlighted both the successes of farm exports from the Old Dominion and the challenges. First, the good news. Thanks in part to one of the best deepwater ports in the U.S., Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin says ag exports to other countries are booming.
In 2022, our agricultural exports broke all records. From 2021 to 2022, our exports increased by nearly 25% to top more than $5.1 billion. $5.1 billion.
Youngkin noted that agriculture is Virginia's #1 economic sector and thanked the record number of attendees from foreign embassies at the conference. But as Virginia's economy has recovered from the effects of the recent pandemic, China's economy has struggled. That's not good news, considering the powerful influence China has on world market prices.
In fact, today, China is the largest importer of corn, wheat, soybeans, pork, beef, dairy, poultry, and probably several other commodities that I'm not even naming here.
Greg Dodd is Chief Operating Officer for the National Milk Producers Federation and an expert analyst on world market trends. He says China's total agricultural imports in 2022 were $236 billion, while the total U.S. ag exports came to $196 billion. That means virtually all U.S. farm commodity prices are affected by China's need for protein.
I happen to be one that believes we can and should continue to seek a positive relationship, if for no other reason than to trade on food, ag, forestry, biofuels, and fiber. They need us, and there's things we need from China. And the moment you lop off all trade, things get really hostile. We know this from our history.
A former USDA trade representative and head of the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture, Ted McKinney told the conference that other Asian markets besides China are hungry for top-quality U.S. farm goods. And even though Chinese companies have been buying farmland and cultivating business connections in Africa, the prospects for farm sales there are growing. That view was shared by Dr. Dennis Matanda of Morgenthau Sterling, who says Virginia farmers are raising the crops and meats African consumers need and desire.
If you see it on TV or see it in a really good movie, it's going to influence you in a particular way, and that is the essence of it. Hollywood has done such a great job that the Africans are going to be able to aspire for things that are in the movies. And that, for me, is the essence of fast food. They see people eating fast food on dates, and they want to do the same thing. And which means if you export soybean, you will find markets for tractors. If you export soybean or grain, you will find markets for chicken.
Surry County soybean grower Stephen Pittman checks the market prices for grain and soybeans several times a day. While he sells his beans to another company to be exported to Japan, he understands why his bottom line suffers whenever there is bad weather, trade disputes, or a war like in Ukraine last year.
All the prices plummeted and then they pick back up. It's just an ongoing seesaw with every time the traders hear something going on overseas, or you've got to watch the markets to be able to figure out how you're going to market your crop.
China, Canada, and Venezuela were the top 3 customers for Virginia farm products in 2022. China imported more than $1.45 billion in soybeans and tobacco from the Old Dominion last year. Every time a Virginia farm product is sold for export, it boosts the value of the whole state's ag economy. Reporting from Richmond, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde. Virginia farmers have been exporting products since the colony was founded more than 4 centuries ago. British shipmakers desired the tall, straight tree trunks of the New World for shipmasts. And tobacco is the crop that famously saved the Virginia Company from financial ruin. Today, Virginia is one of the few states that has its own international trade offices in foreign countries to promote farm products. They're located in Canada, China, Europe, India, Latin America, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Hong Kong.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about growing in a high tunnel from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
Farming is a rewarding way of life, but it can also be full of challenges. If you or someone you know is struggling, call or text the AgriStress helpline at 833-897-2473. It offers 24/7 access to professionals who can support someone in need and help find mental health services in your community. Please make the call, because healthy farms depend on healthy farm families. That's 833-897-2474.
Greenhouses and hoop towers offer opportunities for year-round production. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension catches up on the latest insights for home greenhouse growers from the ground up.
Well, hi and welcome. Today we're at Virginia State University's Randolph Farm. We're here with Grace Summers. Grace, you're a part of the Small Farm Outreach Program here at Randolph Farm. And I know you're doing lots of studies and trials and demonstrations in this high tunnel. And you know, some people at home might have a high tunnel or might be thinking about a hobby greenhouse. Is this a good area to grow things in?
Yes, it's basically summer all the time in a high tunnel. And the good thing about a high tunnel is it's a season extension tool for growers, so they can grow earlier in the spring and later in the fall. And for a lot of growers, they can grow year-round with a high tunnel. You can grow a variety of crops. You can control the environment as far as how warm you want it, how cool you want it, and also your irrigation and putting water and fertilizer to your crops.
I know a lot of people that are gardening and they want to be maybe the first one on the neighborhood with something early. And so a structure like this, maybe smaller, can help them do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe getting in there earlier, just kind of a little bit earlier than their neighbors, right?
That's right. I always tell my growers, you want to be the first one to have it and the last one to have it.
I got you. So now I know you do some different techniques in here. I know, we're covered. We've got a plastic cover, so it doesn't, obviously we don't get rain in here. So let's go back here. I want to look a little bit at your irrigation system and some of the varieties you're growing. Well, Grace, we're in here now, and I know you do, I think you said all kinds of plants will do well in here, but I know there's some specific ones that you like to grow. What kind of plants are you growing in this particular plot?
So my favorites of all times are tomatoes and peppers in a high tunnel. We're growing tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, onions, and a lot of different herbs such as basil, cilantro, oregano.
Well, that's quite a variety right there. Yeah. And so that's good, and that kind of shows you can plant all kinds of things in here. I got that. So, but all these things need water, right? And we're not getting rain like we were if we were outside. So I know you've got a drip irrigation system here, right? Is that correct? And so I can see it right here, these drip lines. And I know you've got them running right now. I can see the water kind of dripping out. Mm-hmm. And it looks to me like it's got some sort of wetting pattern about every foot or so.
That's exactly right. Oh. And it's a low pressure system designed to be buried. So we will cover it over. And once we cover it over through capillary action, it'll wet that whole bed.
And so the plants, you'll just plant them right next to that row of drip tape.
Yes.
Wow.
And we can actually fertilize through the drip tape.
Okay.
Liquid fertilizer. We've already got some fertility with our compost in here.
Okay.
And we are actually collecting through gutters off of the high tunnel, rainwater that is collected in a cistern, and we're pumping it back through and with a small 30 horsepower pump.
Okay.
And the system is designed for 9 to 12 psi. So when it gets to the tape, it's dropped down, and so pretty much it's It's a system that's set up off a header pipe,
Okay.
a water hose to a header pipe, then a red handle valve,
Okay.
a punch to punch it into the header pipe,
Okay.
and then this is your drip tape.
So it's just a thin, they call it tape, I guess, because it's real thin, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and I notice now when it gets water inside of it, it puffs up like a pipe.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it only drips like it should if it's really tight.
Okay.
So you want to make sure you got the right PSI.
So you have some sort of pressure regulator you put on here too. And so it's really, it maybe seems like a complex system, but it's really not that many parts and pieces, is it?
It's like putting together a puzzle, and once you learn how to do it, it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
And once people do it the first time, you can use it on your home garden, you can use it on your lawn, you can use it in your shrubs, your flower bed. It's got a lot of different applications. It's a great system.
Very
to
good.
conserve water.
Very good. Well, I like it. This high tunnel structure. Maybe people can have one a little smaller than this, but really protects the crops. Maybe gets you earliness or season extension in the fall. But you need some sort of way to get the crops water, and this looks like a great one to me.
Yeah, it is. It's an awesome system.
Well, Grace, thank you so much for letting us come out and talk to you a little bit about high tunnels and drip irrigation.
All right, thank you.
Well, for more information about some of these products here, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, breakfast baguette. We hope you'll stay with us.
Our cow, she walks into the barn, she gets milked. Milk's taken from her and put through a chiller. And that milk's taken from body temperature of a cow, which is about 102.5, and dropped to 35 degrees and put straight onto a tractor trailer. And it goes straight to the plant the next day. So most of the milk that's sitting on your store shelves is probably less than 48 hours old. And that's a pretty good testament to how efficient we are.
Want an easy recipe for holiday visitors? Chef Tammy Brawley shows us how to put together a delicious breakfast baguette in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and given the holidays and you have crowds coming in, families and such, I want to show you guys a delicious breakfast option that you can make for your families. This is called a breakfast baguette. I love doing this recipe. We have a baguette here. Any grocery store variety is totally fine. You might even make them homemade. But you want to start with a bread knife, and you actually want to cut the top of the baguette off, and hopefully your bread knife is sharp enough. And try to keep the baguette intact because of presentation purposes. It actually looks a lot better. But you also don't want to go too far down into the baguette, because basically what we're going to do is we're making a canoe, for lack of a better word. I'm going to turn this around. It's a little easier. I'm going to finish cutting off the top of it. And then I'm actually going to hollow it out. You want to keep these pieces to a certain extent. We're not going to use them all, but we are going to be using some of them. So we're going to hollow this out with our fingers. And it will take a couple of minutes, but not too terribly long. We're going to hollow it out as much as we can. All right, so you want to get this nice and hollowed out, kind of like a canoe. Sometimes you can even come back in with your bread knife if you'd like, especially if your baguette might be a day or two old. And to be quite honest, a stale one is actually a little bit better for this particular recipe. So as you can see, I've somewhat hollowed it out. And what I'm actually going to do is come back with that top crust, because we're going to use these pieces. We're going to just cut a few of them apart here. You kind of want them in bite-sized pieces, give or take a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And trust me, we're not going to come back with a ruler or anything, but you just want to kind of break it up a little bit. Bite-sized pieces, as I said, so maybe cut these back in half or thirds. And a word of caution while I'm doing this, just, always be real careful with bread knives. That is actually probably one of the worst cuts one can get, because it's a jagged edge. So really want to be careful. So I've already cracked 5 eggs into a bowl here. And what we're going to add to that are some great ingredients. We've got some lemon zest. The recipe is going to say about a teaspoon. I actually love lemon zest, so I probably have a bit more than a teaspoon. So we're just going to finish zesting the lemon for the most part. And then when I zest a fruit like a lemon or a lime, I actually will wrap this back in plastic and then come back later and squeeze when I need the juice for another recipe. So we do try to use the whole product. So we're going to get lemon zest in there with the 5 eggs. And now we're going to add some parsley. This parsley actually came out of my garden. We're going to add parsley to that. I'm going to add roughly about 1/4 cup, give or take, of Parmesan cheese, shredded Parmesan cheese. And we're going to add a little salt and pepper. Now keep in mind, you don't really want a lot of salt because of the prosciutto that we're going to be using. Prosciutto is a cured meat. Let's come back with the bread. I like using the top part that I cut off because it's a little crunchy, it's a little firmer when this baguette bakes. You could certainly use the soft parts that I pulled out if you'd like. And we're just going to whisk this up together. And we're also going to want to add about 3 tablespoons of whole milk or cream, whatever your dairy of choice is. Now I don't want to eyeball that because I don't want it to be too terribly thin. So we did measure. So we're going to whisk that together again. Got a delicious looking filling here. It smells wonderful. The parsley and the lemon in this, for some reason, really truly makes it. All right, so we're done whisking that up. We're done with the breadcrumbs, and now we're going to come back with the prosciutto. Prosciutto usually comes with papers. That makes it a little easier to pull apart. The good thing is that we don't have to cut this, and then we'd be here all day. So you want to take a sheet of prosciutto, and you want to start forming it into the hollowed out baguette, or canoe, as I like to call it. And you may not use the whole package. You may, depending on how big the package is. And to be quite honest, sometimes prosciutto is actually less expensive at the deli counter as it is packaged. That might be something you would consider depending on how much you plan to use. And for a large crowd like 10 to 15 people, you're probably going to want to do 2 baguettes. This actually we're going to slice it after it bakes in the oven. And now I'm going to move it over to a parchment lined sheet tray. Now you can pour it, you could spoon it. It's probably not going to use all the filling. That's okay. If you have 2 baguettes, you know that you've got enough filling for 2. And this is where it was important that we did not go too far down in the baguette when we were cutting it, because you wouldn't want it to seep out the bottom. And now that I'm looking at this, in all honesty, we probably could have hollowed it out a little bit more. But you can also come back and push things down a little bit. I'm going to grab a piece or 2 of the bread and push it down in there like this. Oh yeah. You can already see how pretty of a presentation this is going to be just by looking at it. Now I'm squeezing it a little bit, so I am squeezing some out, but being that it's a parchment lined tray, it won't be too much of a mess. And now this is going to go into the oven for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. 350-degree oven, that is. All right, so we actually had this baguette in the oven for about 20 minutes. The recipe is going to tell you 30 to 35, but you know your oven better than anybody else. You might find that it needs to be in a little bit longer. You might find that it can come out sooner. So just keep checking on it. I set the timer for about 20, and now it's ready. It is going to be very hot, of course, so you want to be careful when you're cutting it. We're going to take it up and put it on our cutting board. And for service, we like to slice it. So that's what I'm going to try to do while it's still hot. This is my favorite part of the bread, by the way, is the end. You want to give yourself probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of a slice. If you try to go too much thinner than that, it's going to fall apart on you. We're going to place it on our platter here. It's quite hot. And just so the camera sees the inside of it, you can see where the egg baked up with the prosciutto and that lovely lemon and parsley. Kind of, you know, a word to the wise, so to speak, is that, you know, you might want a wider baguette, one that you can hollow out a little bit more so you can get most of the filling in there. But this is still just a nice little breakfast for your guests that are coming in for the holidays. All right, and there you have it, a breakfast baguette. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home and have a great holiday.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Early Virginia farm families brought many holiday meal traditions with them from their countries of origin, and you could still get all the ingredients from Virginia farmers. Settlers from England featured roast beef in their celebrations, along with cabbage, stuffing, and gravy. German immigrants favored pork dishes, more cabbage, and of course plenty of delicious baked desserts. African foods include chicken stew, curried goat stew, and grilled tilapia. While chicken was a welcome entree, turkey didn't become the most popular American dish for holiday meals until the middle of the 19th century. Today, Virginia is the 6th largest turkey-producing state in the nation.
Located in southeastern Virginia, just south of the James River, Surry County is row crop country, like this cotton field I'm standing in. Farmers here are busy this time of year. They're also harvesting soybeans, corn, and peanuts. Cotton has long been a staple of Surry County agriculture, but farmers here have also harvested many other good crops.
We have everything from some vegetable producers that may only have a couple of acres growing sweet potatoes, garlic, some of our cole crops, and then tomatoes in the summer. And then we have our larger producers that are producing mainly peanuts, cotton, corn, soybeans, and wheat here in the county.
Cooper is one of the few Virginia cooperative extension agents serving in their home county. Her father, Steve Pittman, is a grain farmer, passing on the traditions he learned.
Still, the same communities are still tight-knit. You know, everybody looks after each other.
Like a growing number of Virginia farmers, Pittman lives across from a large solar field. It's a reminder of the changes that are coming to the county. What hasn't changed here is the annual cycle of harvest season. Paul Rogers is picking cotton. Depending on the year, he grows cotton, corn, wheat, soybeans, or peanuts. For him, farming is just a way of life.
Picking cotton, it can be a great day, or it can be you'd rather be in the dentist with no Novocaine type of day.
Rogers will soon be working on his cover crop for the winter. In Surry County, many farmers prefer to plant rye in the winter because it can hold more nutrients than wheat, another popular cover crop. Nearby, a crew hired by Steve Berryman is working on his last day of harvesting soybeans this year.
We farm about 5,000, about probably 2,000 in corn, and 2,700 or 2,800 in soybeans, and 500 or 600 acres of peanuts.
Berryman has lived in Surry County all his life, and his family has roots here going back over 200 years. He says Surry County is a good place to farm. While there's been population growth, the county has plenty of open land for farming. There are 111 farms in Surry County, covering 42,062 acres. The market value of all agricultural products is $23,899,000. Crops are the biggest commodity group, with grains such as soybeans bringing in $7,418,000. Hay and other crops come in second, with $1,397,000. while cotton accounts for $1,268,000. One way people see Surry County for the first time is on this ferry, which runs between the northern and southern sides of the James River. It's a way to draw visitors, and it also allows farmers and other Surry County residents access to the hospitals and shopping on the peninsula. Clifton Slade has spent his life around agriculture as a former extension agent. Now he operates a certified organic farm on the land where he grew up. Slade grows sweet potatoes, sweet potato plants, and elephant garlic. On this day, he and his team were planting elephant garlic using a hot branding iron to cut holes in the tarp where the bulbs will grow.
I'm a successful farmer, but my success rate is not good. I'll try 10 things, but only 2 of them work. Hence what I have.
Right.
But they work so good that I'll go and try 2 or 3 other things.
Slade and many other farmers here understand the need for diversification and experimentation.
I think everybody in agriculture is going to have to diversify somewhat to be able to keep the farming operation profitable.
Agritourism is another way farmers have diversified in Surry County. Hampton Roads Vineyard and Winery boasts not only wine, but it also features one of only 9 goat towers in the world, according to owner David Sheldon.
We wanted to do something to continue the farm theme, which is where we are because we raise our own Red Angus cattle. And we wanted something that people remember as opposed to just another place to go drink.
The people of Surry County are committed to keeping their community rural so that agriculture can thrive here for generations to come. In Surry County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting. We're so glad you could join us to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Every spring and fall, Virginia farmers and other motorists nearly collide on rural roads. Sometimes these collisions can be dangerous or even fatal. Glenn Keller of Shenandoah County says when a car traveling 55 miles an hour suddenly meets much slower moving farm equipment, the odds of a collision shoot up.
It's pretty dangerous when you get out on the road because we have a lot of hills in this valley, blind hills where you don't know what may be coming on the other side of those hills. And when we move something wide like the piece of equipment behind me, we usually have an escort in front. But if the people don't pay attention to that, you have to be prepared to react pretty quick. We'll get to a blind hill and someone will follow you for a mile or so and they finally get enough of it, want to go around, and they're usually upset and pick the wrong place.
Farm equipment operators are required to display a slow-moving vehicle emblem when they're on a public road. When you see that, or any farm vehicle, slow down. Give them plenty of space to do their job so you both can go home safely. This message brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation Safety Advisory Committee.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little?
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.